Hello to all of my estrellas in the audience, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be asking the question, how would I judge Drag Race España All-Stars? This season was fun. I thought this was a very cute, fun, celebratory season of Spanish drag. It was just such a wonderful watch from start to end. And it was really satisfying seeing some of these contestants from previous seasons who I personally love, like Jerichi and Ornella, come back and do well on this season. And yeah, it was just a great watch overall, and I'm excited to talk about it. So let's get into it, shall we? The rules to remember, as always, are the season has to be as long as season 1 of Drag Race España All-Stars was originally, which is 7 episodes, 5 competitive episodes, the reunion and the finale, and the performances and challenges need to be based off of how well someone did or how people would predict they would do. So I'm not just going to put somebody in the top when they were originally in the bottom, or vice versa, unless there is strong fan support for that being the case. There actually is one scenario in this in this video where I kind of did it without it being the case, but we'll get to it. The goal of this video is to act as if I am the head judge and craft this season however I can imagine to make it as fun and eventful as possible, while also being fair with my judging of the season by combining my own personal tastes and what was shown to us on the show. Before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you enjoy it. Only about 25% of my viewers are currently subscribed, so if you were to subscribe, that would be wonderful news. I would very much enjoy that. But anyways, let us get back to the video proper. Episode 1, we had ourselves the talent show, and I didn't change any of the placements. I thought this was judged pretty fairly overall. Now, the main placement that I really considered switching up, that I decided to keep the same at the last minute, was between Ornella and Samantha Valentine's. I thought Samantha was so funny in this challenge. This video is basically just going to be me fangirling over Samantha Valentine's, honestly, because I did not watch all of Drag Race España season 2. It's the only Drag Race España season I haven't watched all of. But I really had zero impression of Samantha coming into this season. She was really the only one that I had like zero impression of, because like with the other season 2 contestants, like, I saw people fangirling over Trici. I've seen her iconic untucked moments. I've seen Sethless's, iconic looks in the talent show, as well as Onyx's talent show. So I had moments from all the other season 2 contestants that I knew and I thought were iconic and I liked. But I just had nothing from Samantha coming into this season. And oh my god, is Samantha Valentine so fucking good. I love her. And I thought her performance here was so funny, re-explaining this, like, sexual encounter that she did here. And Ornella, while I really still did like hers, I thought she did super well with it. The reveals were good. It was just a good, solid, all-around, performance piece. It didn't excite me as much as Samantha's, but going back on it and like watching the judges' critiques a couple of times, I completely understand why Ornella was in the top, because it was an homage. It felt, it felt professional. It felt good. It was quality, thought out, referential drag, and so I felt too bad moving it down, is essentially the reasoning of why I kept it the same. But I mean, Drag Sethless killed it. Sethless kills basically any fucking performance that they have to do. I mean, truly a star, a complete star when it comes to the performances that they do. Jerichi, Pakita, Sagittaria all had great, numbers that they performed. Poopy Poison, I actually did consider putting Poopy in the bottom 2 almost, and moving Pink Shadora up to the low placement. Poopy just like didn't like I really like the concept of it, and we've seen that work very well before, obviously, like Silky Nutmeg Ganache, Barbie Girl, All-Star 6, like, truly was so funny and so wonderful, that, split down the middle, half man, half woman drag performance. But the way that she went about it, it just didn't sit right entirely. And the reason I decided to keep Poopy in that lip placement because it was inventive. I mean, like, obviously people have done it before, but in terms of, like, specifically doing that on Drag Race on purpose, she's only the second person to do it. And whereas with, like, Onyx, it was like, okay, this is, like, an original kind of, like, song or, like, mashup of songs performance. Gotcha. And then Pink Shadora, similar situation. Kind of mashup of songs, mashup of references performance. That both had areas where I wasn't a fan. Whereas with Poopy, even though there was like a similar amount of areas that I was like, okay, I'm not vibing with the situation. The respect I have for her to like do something out of the box, it makes her, the fact that she did something out of the box, it makes her performance more creative just as a default than the other two performances. And so when looking at three performances that I view pretty evenly overall in comparison to how much I enjoyed watching them, the more creative performance most of the time I feel like is going to get my, it's going to get my boost. So while if I had to like choose out of the three of the bottoms, which performance I would like the most, it probably would be Pink Shadora's, like just a smidge over Poopy's, which is a smidge over Onyx's. The creativity of Poopy's is a decently wide gap over the next two, which is why I decided to put Poopy as the low placement. It felt more fair to me. So Onyx and Pink Shadora are the bottom two here. The top two of Drag Sethless and Ornella Gongora are going to be lip syncing to Me Gustas Mucho by Rocio Darcal. And Sethless won this. She won the lip sync. I don't really need to go into it. I think she did a better job than Ornella. And because Sethless chose to get rid of Pink Shadora originally, that is what's going to happen here. So sorry to miss Pink Shadora, but she is going to be eliminated first here on All Stars. And we're going to be moving on to episode 2. In episode 2, we had ourselves the Snatch Game. And this Snatch Game, I actually forgot. There were 2 instances where somebody who was technically in the top, I moved to the bottom. But I mean, I moved from high to low. Okay, I moved Samantha Valentine's from high to low, and I know I just fangirled over Samantha Valentine's, but I didn't gag for the Snatch Game. I didn't gag for it. So originally, we had Poopy Poison and Drag Sethless in the top here, and I completely agree with that. Poopy truly just kills literally any Snatch Game. I mean, Poopy, I think Poopy could do 50 Snatch Games and be in the top, aka the top 3 for fucking 48 of them. Like, truly, she's amazing at Snatch Game. It is insane. And then fucking Drag Sethless, with like her, her shield, like blocking out the haters. Like, it was so stupid. It was great. I loved it. Originally Samantha Valentine's was high, and I just didn't get it personally. I don't like she didn't do terrible. Like I don't think anybody except the bottom 2 of the Snatch Game did like a less than average job in a Snatch Game, I feel like everyone on up from Samantha on up did like an average job or better. Like it was a good Snatch Game in my opinion. But Samantha Valentine's, she barely spoke. And I think there's also absolutely a chance that due to me, not, understanding like the character references as well, and, just having my limited Google knowledge of these people to look up, I just didn't get enough content from Samantha for me to really place her, I feel like, anything but low for me personally. Somebody who should have been in the top, I feel, is Jerichi Derklee, and a lot of people think that Jerichi should have been in the top for this challenge. Jerichi, I mean, doing the tarot cards with the Uno cards, it's so smart. It is a joke that, like, people have done before. I mean, like, there's a clip of Trixie and Katya, doing a tarot reading with Uno cards, but, like, it's a joke that people do. But she performed it so well, and I didn't expect her to do it when watching the Snatch Game, so it made it funnier for me. And then also, her shaving her head at the end of the Snatch Game? Are you serious? I was gagged. I mean, was it, like, funny? No, but that's not necessarily the point of Snatch Game. I mean, that is kind of the point of Snatch Game, is to be funny. But how much it, like, fit the character she was trying to present, it was very much there. And so I really respected the move of it, like, obviously. She did an amazing job here. And Ornella, who was originally low, I decided to move up to the safe. I liked Ornella's performance here. When she pulled out the puppet, I laughed. I did not expect a puppet. Puppets are stupid and fun. I like a puppet. And frankly, her just pulling out the puppet and unexpectedly making me laugh was enough for me to put over Samantha, I feel like. So no, that sounded so shady, and I kind of meant it, but I also didn't mean it that hard. I swear I really like Samantha. I just didn't get the Snatch Game. It just wasn't for me. But the bottom two is going to stay the same. Sagittaria and Onyx Unleashed are going to be the bottom two here. And our same top two of Poopy Poison and Drag Sethless are going to be lip syncing to No Shintera by Biko. And Poopy did a better job on this lip sync for sure. Poopy, had a better character with the lip sync. I felt like fit the lip sync more. And really, Poopy, when given like a song that, like Poopy on like any old song, I feel like is gonna do a fine job. But Poopy on a song that she knows is going to do a great job. Poopy on a song that she gets the vibe for is gonna do a great job. So Poopy really did win this for me. I mean, I feel like that's not a controversial opinion. But Poopy Poison chose Onyx's lipstick, so that is what is going to happen here. Onyx is going to go home, and we're going to move on to episode 3. Now, here's the placement swap I was thinking of when I said earlier that somebody who was in the top is now kind of in the bottom. Here we have the, like, heaven and hell ball situation here, where they have to do, like, a heaven look, a hell look, and a look at the 7 deadly sins. We've seen this before in Canada's Drag Race Season 2. But I am of the opinion that Sethless did fine. That final look of Sethless really, really dragged it down for me. Looking at all the looks, I thought Sethless's first look was pretty great. It wasn't my favorite of the heaven looks, but it was probably like my third. Her hell look, probably like my favorite. Her design look, like my least favorite. So we kind of have like one of the best, one in the middle, and one in the worst. Like that's kind of the ways that Sethless's outfits go for me. Like a very much like a first, a last, and a kind of in the middle, which I feel like technically should place her as safe, I guess. But just looking at the package overall, I liked Samantha's more. Yeah, I decided to put Drag Sethless as low. Originally, Pakita was in the bottom. And I feel like people think that Pakita should have been the bottom. People think Pakita should have been at least safe for this challenge, it seems like. But Pakita, I do not understand why she was in the bottom. I just don't get it. Her looks were so good. I can understand the critique on the final look of the anger look and being like, it doesn't, or I guess it's wrath technically. But I can understand the critique of like it doesn't fit the category enough, but I look at that look and I see an angry woman. Like that's what I see. I see a woman who is angry, and frankly, that fits the category. Is wrath not anger? That woman's full of wrath. I can tell you that. I can tell you. I don't have to hear her scream. I can just tell you by looking at her, the way her makeup is, and the outfit she's wearing. It kind of feels like someone it feels like she's almost being just starting to be lit by flames in a way, where I'm like, oh, that woman is seething. That's what I got from it. So I didn't really understand why she was in the bottom for this challenge. I just didn't get it. I thought she should have been high. Originally, Jirichi was one of the top two, and she's going to stay there in the top two. And Sagittaria was originally high, but since I decided to move Sethless down, and because Pakita has not gone over Sagittaria is now in the top two for this challenge. Because I decided to move Pakita out of the bottom, there originally was no low. It was Samantha and Ornella as safe. The person who I think did worse than Sethless is Ornella, has to move down to the bottom two with Poopy Poison here. Because Poopy, I do think, did the worst in this challenge. And Ornella a little bit better than her in the challenge. So I do have to move her down to that bottom two placement here. And the top two of Jirichi and Sagittaria, they're going to be lip syncing to Estoy Llorando por Ti by Minerva. And originally this lip sync was between Drag Sethless and Jirichi Derklee, and I thought Jirichi did a fine job of the lip sync originally, But Sethless in the lip sync had these like glass shards on their outfit, and they fell off and made Jirichi bleed, which is not good. Which is why you shouldn't be able to fucking use like shards like that on a fucking design outfit. What do you mean? But regardless, I think if that did not happen, and I think if Jirichi was against Sagittaria, I feel that Jirichi would do better, obviously, if she wasn't, you know, cut by the glass and stuff. And I think that level of Jirichi would do better than Sagittaria. I don't think this is really a song for Sagittaria to, like, you know, win at. I think Jirichi just has a better shot based off of the song alone. So Jirichi is going to win this lip sync. And Jirichi originally chose Poopy Poison when it was between Poopy Poison and Pakita. And so with Hornella there, I don't see a reason why Jirichi would choose to get rid of Ornella over Poopy. I feel like based off of the way that Jirichi was, like, you know, choosing the lipsticks and everything during, you know, this season, and also, like, literally in the next episode when it's between Sagittaria and Ornella, like, she chooses Sagittaria. Also, I mean, there is a whole situation there with Sagittaria wanting to, like, leave, which is, you know, a whole can of worms that we'll talk about next time. But it seemed like, just as an overall vibe, Jirichi was more in line and willing to save the season 3 contestants than the season 1 contestants. So I don't see a reason why she wouldn't choose to get rid of Poopy here. So sadly, Poopy Poison is getting eliminated in episode 3, and it's so sad, but it's the way it is, and I'm sorry. I love Poopy. Don't come for me. In episode 4, we have the Girl Groups Challenge. Now, we have the same contestants for the most part, except we have Pakita here instead of Poopy Poison. I don't think this really changes the way that the groups form. The way that the groups form is that they get to choose, and all the Season 2 contestants flock together, leaving the 2 Season 3, or I guess in this case, the 2 Season 3 contestants and the 1 Season 1 contestant together as a team. And I think the same situation would happen, just Pakita swapping in for Poopy. So I still think with the situation that we have here, that the group of the Season 2 contestants, Team Ova Girls, is going to be the better group of the week. With Pakita swapped in, I do think Pakita and Ornella most likely work together better in this situation here. But I don't think it's enough better that they win the challenge. And in this scenario, Sagittaria does win. Episode 3 was top 2, but, you know, also, top 2 is a win here. But we're calling it top 2s because that's the way that it's technically done. You know what I mean. But because Sagittaria did have that placement last episode, I don't think Sagittaria is as against, like, working with the other contestants. And I assume that Sagittaria doesn't say that she wants on the main stage, like, to leave the competition. But I do still think that Sagittaria, without Poopy here also being a factor, just the way that she seemed to gel with the rest of this cast, I don't assume that Sagittaria would still be in great spirits. I think she'd be in better spirits, absolutely. But I don't think she would be like, you know, I'm ready to kick ass at this challenge. I'm going to give it my all for this challenge. I'm here to win this challenge. I think she would do better, but I still think that wouldn't bring the group up to winning the challenge, 3HC. But I do agree with the placements for the top group. I do think Samantha and Jirichi did the best. I don't think Sethless did bad at all. I think Sethless did like 2% worse than I would say Jirichi. I think Samantha was my favorite in the challenge. But, you know, it's a top 2, not a top 3. So I do think it is fair to leave it as it is and keep Samantha and Jirichi as the top 2. And I do think with this newly formed group here of Pakita, Ornella, and Sagittaria, I do think Pakita probably does the best. It's kind of finicky in my brain because I think if we're ranking the original group, I think it's probably Poopy, Sagittaria, then Ornella is my order. And swapping in Pakita. Pakita can dance. Pakita can perform. Like, I don't have any worries about Pakita's, like, general performance abilities. But with Sagittaria in a supposedly better headspace, in this scenario, in this challenge, does she do the best in the group? And I think there's a chance, but the chance wasn't big enough for me to say yes to moving her up to the safe placement. I didn't feel confident enough in it. So I decided to put Pakita as the safe here, and have the bottom two here be the same as it was originally, which is Ornella Gongora and Sagittaria. So the top two of Samantha Ballantyne's and Jirichi Derkley is going to lip sync to Mafiosa by Nethi Peluso. And Samantha Ballantyne's, I do think, did a better job in this lip sync. I completely agree with the results here. This song was so fun. I mean, this outfit that Samantha had in this episode, I'm going to put it up on screen right now, so sickening, and just made the lip sync better. Like, the taking off the wig and the sparkle and the way she did all this stuff, it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. So Samantha is going to win this lip sync for me, and I think that she would choose to get rid of Sagittaria, as she did originally. So did Jirichi did originally. Again, I don't think the changes that were made in this timeline are enough for Sagittaria to, be in the headspace that allows her to, be fully in the zone at this point in the competition. And I think that due to that fact, and due to the way that the group is gelling at this point, Samantha and Jirichi would still end up making the same decision. So that is the way that I got it set, and we're going to move on to episode 5. In episode 5, we have the roast challenge, and here we have Pakita, where we originally had Poopy Poison, and I don't really trust Pakita to do well in the roast here in the situation. She did get eliminated on, like, the stage comedy challenge on España Season 3, and this was filmed, like, less than a year later. So I just, based off of the track record that we've seen of Pakita in these comedy challenges, specifically like the on stage, like comedy bits challenge, I don't see a scenario where she's in the top 2. I just don't see it. Could she do third best? I think so. Could she do worst? I also think so. But I just don't see a scenario where she's in the top 2, so I can't put her there. I do think the placements in this episode are pretty damn correct. I do think Samantha and Draxethlis did the best in this challenge. I think they did great jobs here. They had such good performances, and the way that they set up their performances were really amazing. I want to give a shout out to Ornella. I think the nail salon idea was super smart. And the way that she decided to, use that as the basis for all the jokes for everybody. I'm a nail girly myself. I'm going to put a picture of the nails I currently have on screen, actually, right now. They're Togepi themed, because I'm a nerd and I'm gay. But anyways, yeah, so I decided to keep these placements pretty much the exact same. And I decided to keep in the twist that we had here. Now, originally, in a top 5 episode on an all-star season with a top 2 format, the way that I would do it is have a win placement, a top 2, a safe, and then a bottom 2. But here, the way that they decided to do it is they had the top 2 and the bottom 3, which is like a pretty standard way to do these kinds of episodes. But the eliminated contestants got the opportunity to save one of the bottom 3 from elimination. And I decided to keep that in because I thought it was interesting. And the way that this went down originally is that both Pakita and Pink Shadora were eliminated at this point, and they fought for Ornella to be the one who was saved. And Sagittaria and Onyx, eventually ended up going along with it. I think a similar scenario would happen in this case, except it would be Pink Shadora and Poopy Poison fighting for Ornella to, be the one that's saved. We had got this kind of vision, I feel like, during the season that Ornella and Poopy were pretty tight with each other overall during the season. And so I don't see why Poopy would choose, really anybody else. Like, Chirichi eliminated her. She's going to choose Chirichi. I don't see a reason why she would want to choose Pakita. No shade to, that's not supposed to be shade to anything to Pakita. I just don't see a good reason at all. I think there's a good reason why she would choose Ornella. So I think we're essentially just getting the same scenario, except we're swapping out Pakita for Poopy. In both ways. Pakita getting eliminated here. Poopy's advocating for Ornella to be safe here as well. Like, it's basically just swapping their roles in this scenario, is I feel like what would happen. And then Sagittaria, you know, being, you know, season 1 was with Poopy would be like, okay, and then Onyx would be like, well, fuck, I guess, sure. So I think that's what would happen. And I decided to put Ornella as low here because this situation and the way that it's set up is pretty similar to the way that the Golden Beaver twist on Drag Race Canada Season 4 was set up, in that there's a bottom 3, but one of them gets saved from elimination. The only difference is the top 2 are lip-syncing on who goes home here, whereas in Canada it was the bottom 2 then having to lip-sync for their life. This is a pretty similar scenario, I feel like, so the way they decided to do that in Canada Season 4 was to place the saved contestant as low. So I decided to do that here because it felt the most fair way to do it. I felt like giving him too much credit, you know? It didn't feel right. So low is the way that it's going to be, and we are going to be having our lip sync between Samantha Ballantyne's and Drag Sethless to Lazar Zamora by Lola Flores. And I think Samantha Ballantyne's did win this challenge. She fit the vibe of the song better, absolutely. You know, this is a song that, you know, has a very specific vibe that I feel like you have to cater towards, otherwise you're just like kind of screwing yourself over. And Sethless didn't fit the vibe of the song, was doing too much for it, I would say, whereas Samantha definitely fit it better. So I think Samantha Ballantyne's did win this lip sync. And I do think she would eliminate Pakita. I mean, there's no chance she's eliminating Chirichi. Like, there's just truly no shot. And even if she did choose to eliminate Ornella safe. So it's Pakita. That's the way it's gotta be. And I think the same goes for Sethless too. I think that's the exact same scenario. She ain't choosing Chirichi. If for whatever reason in this scenario she does choose Ornella over Pakita, Ornella's now safe. So it's Pakita. So we're going to be entering the top 4 with the exact same top 4, just shuffled around the way that their placements are and the way that everything went on this season. And overall, just to go into like the storylines of the season and what I think would change and what would stay the same, I feel like we would get a season where the, you know, time spent with people being like, oh my god, Sagittarius, such a downer, ungrateful, which was like the annoying kind of parts of the season, I feel like that would be much lessened. You know, I feel like we would still get some of that, but it wouldn't be as like heavy-handed. And I think hopefully with the spread of placements here that we have, where instead of Sethless being in the top for literally every episode on the original season, where you know, I think there were a couple of instances where that wasn't fully or shouldn't have been the case. I do think in this scenario, we get, you know, a season that is a bit more evenly distributed in terms of the top placements. It feels more competitive, and where basically, actually, everybody except the first 2 eliminated contestants are in the top 3 at some point during the season. So the majority of people have a chance to, you know, shine and do really good in at least one episode of the season, which is nice, especially with an all-star season, you know? It's nice to see that happen. Really quickly, we have the reunion. Samantha Ballantyne's would still win Miss Congeniality. I don't think there's any, you know, reasoning why she wouldn't. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna move on to the finale. In this finale, I truthfully think everything goes the same. Considering that we have the exact same 4 contestants that we had originally, it would track that the first and second round lip syncs are the same. And I think those were judged very fairly. Jirichi and Samantha lip sync to Pop by La Oreja de Van Gogh, and I think Samantha does better. Samantha does a better job fitting the lip sync and doing more with the song than Jirichi did. Jirichi just took it too slow. I feel like Samantha really, you know, gave the fight and gave the energy. And the song isn't like a super energetic song, but I think it needed the energy that Samantha was giving it. And so I think Samantha won it. Then we have Sethless and Ornella lip syncing to Yo No Soy Esa by Rosa Lopez, and I think Sethless did better. I think it's actually pretty similar critique. I think Sethless, did more, went harder with the song. I was more fight within Sethless. I just think did a better job overall. And the top 2 lip sync between Sethless and Samantha, we have Eloise by Tino Casal. And I think Sethless did better. I mean, she crawled on the judges' table, which I don't think should be allowed. And I don't know if that's technically allowed or not, or what the situation is with that. But regardless, Sethless did a better job in the final lip sync. Had that glitter head reveal, and again, fucking going across the judges' table. I mean, she did a better job, and she has a better track record. So I feel like it's really only fair to crown Sethless here. Here are the track records for the season. It's very nice to see a track records chart here so big and just yeah, there's 5 episodes to judge. Look at that, how fun. We see Sethless has a PPE of 4 here, which I mean, good for her. I'm getting a fucking 4, and Samantha I'm getting a 3.8. I mean, great jobs from both of them, obviously. With an all-star season with a top 2 format, I judge the wins as 5 points, top 2s as 4.5, highs as 4. Safes is 3, lows is 2, bottom 2s is 1, and eliminations as 0. Again, the win and the top 2 are both wins. They're essentially the exact same thing. But there is merit to, I think, giving the person who wins the lip sync just a little boost in the points, because they are the change makers of the season. They're deciding what happens, and they're getting rewarded for it. They're getting the opportunity to eliminate someone, and they're most of the time getting money for it. So I feel like it makes sense to give the win just a slight boost over the top 2, but again, not a crazy boost. It's half a point. It doesn't mean much. But that is going to be it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you wish. Leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below. As always, I will leave my Twitter handle linked down below if you want to go follow me on there. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.